What's up, guys? We're back at the 70 today, and over the last 6 months we've been out here putting in loads of work to improve this property for better overall deer habitat. And some of those projects included planting hybrid willows, planting shrubs, pruning some apple trees, planting some apple trees, and then getting some food in our big bottom plot. Want to get out here today to take a walk around and show you guys what that looks like now that we're into mid-July. Things are shaping up really nicely around here, and I think those projects are really going to pay off. So I'm standing right now in what I'm beginning to call the orchard, and during one of our first initial walks after season ended, we identified 3 apple trees that were pretty established. The problem with those trees is they were extremely overgrown, and there was a bunch of undergrowth and trees and autumn olive and whatnot growing around these. So one of the biggest projects that I did was prune these and then clear out a bunch of that undergrowth around them. And just looking at them today, I am extremely pleased to see what they look like. They are loaded with fruit, and I mean, did part of that have to do with the pruning? Maybe, but I just think it was really beneficial to get that done and then to get obviously everything cleared out around here. And like I said, I mean, there's fruit just everywhere, so they look great, and this should just provide a lot of food for these deer once they start dropping. So as I mentioned, there's 3 different apple trees we did that to. For sure gonna take a look at this one and then hopefully get to one on the south side of the property. But yeah, just to see what they look like even the same year after we prune them is really encouraging, and just excited to see how much the deer use them this fall. So we're about 40 yards just north of where that tree we were just at, and this is the reason I'm starting to call this the orchard. Another big project we did was plant 5 different apple trees and then 1 pear tree just north of those 2 established trees. And I'm actually excited to see what these look like. And the one in particular behind me, there's actually 6 apples that it's producing already. All of them have made it to this point, and all of them look pretty decent. I think they could use some fresh mulch around the bases, but I think it is encouraging that we're mid-July and all of them look pretty good. So I'm excited to obviously keep working on this orchard here. I know I do need to add 1 more pear just for some cross-pollination, but it will be helpful having those 2 apple trees established already. So then these can hopefully cross-pollinate between all of them together. So yeah, overall really happy with what these apple trees look like. Just happy to see all these still living, and so far so good. So with how the food situation turned out late last year, and with us not having very much food at all, this was one of my biggest goals, was to try and get more food out here. And this was one of the later projects we did because we didn't plant these until mid-June, but we got beans in the big bottom plot. And I haven't planted beans a bunch before, but I am pretty ecstatic with how these look. Especially that they've only been in the ground for about a month. There's a couple patches that don't look as good as what these do here, but there's a large portion of this field that looks just fantastic. So I'm really excited to see what these turn into. Hopeful they'll end up producing a lot of pods, and if we combine that with the plan to overseed these with brassicas come August, I think that'll just provide a lot of tonnage, especially compared to last year. So we were up here last week, like I mentioned, getting these sprayed, so I think that'll help knock a lot of these weeds back. And I'm just really hopeful for this turning into a awesome spot with a big variety of food for these deer. So I'm just ecstatic to see how these look and what this turns into. So yeah, we're gonna take a look at these shrubs that we planted right down here as well, take a peek at those, and then head over to another apple tree and keep walking around this place and showing you guys what it looks like 6 months later after we've done a lot of these projects. So I'm standing on the south side of the big bottom plot here, the south east side it would be, and we got 4 shrubs in here. Don't remember which one is exactly which, but all 4 of these look great. They're greening up really nice, these were all tubes, so I think I'll probably leave the tube around here for at least until early next year. But just good to see that all these have made it so far, and hopefully they keep continuing to do well. So we're gonna head up to that apple tree we cut on the southeast side of the property, see what that one looks like up there. Well, today has just reminded me why now is the absolute worst time to be walking through property like this. But anywho, we are making it happen. I am standing right next to, it'd be the first apple tree that we pruned when we did all our pruning on the southeast corner of the property. And I guess I can't say I'm totally surprised, but this one definitely looks the worst and much in worse shape compared to those other two. And this one was the one that I cut the most off of, and I don't know if that's the reason, or even just sitting where I am now or standing where I am now. I mean, there's so many trees that are just blocking this tree from any sunlight, which I'm assuming that being the case too, it's just sucking a lot of nutrients up. So just good to see, obviously, when everything is greened up right now, how we should remove a lot of these trees around here and just open up this one even more. And I do not see one apple on this either. So like I said, not sure if it was a combination of me going a little overkill on the cutting or it just not being in a great spot currently, but we can definitely change that too. So at least it was good to get eyes on this one and see what it looks like. We're gonna head back now to the east side of the property, check out some shrubs and hybrid willows there, see what those look like. And then there's actually one apple tree along the road that we pruned that I've just been able to see from the road that looks really nice too. So we're gonna keep trekking, make our way back to the big bottom plot, and then head east and take a look at things that way. We just rolled up to these willow cuttings that we put in, and for those of you who remember, what I did was there was a pretty mature hybrid willow, and I basically just took somewhere between, I would say, a foot to 18-inch cuttings just right off that tree, and we just plopped these in the ground. And standing next to one right here, we just took the tube off, and I think it looks halfway decent. I mean, there's a bunch of growth off of it. This is in one of the wetter areas out here, and it's not even that wet, but one of the lower spots, so I think that's probably part of the reason it's doing well. For being that we planted them just this past spring, I'm pleasantly surprised on how they look. And we have there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 along this same stretch, and all of them are living and all of them look halfway decent. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously we're in mid-July now, so things are definitely drying out. So I'm hoping that if it weren't to make it because it was too dry, it would have died by now, but we could also use some rain up here at the same time. So like I said, pleasantly surprised to see how these turned out, and hopefully they keep exploding out of these tubes and turn into something in the next couple years. So I'm excited to see what they look like. So we just moved away from those 5 and we planted a bunch more around here, and there was a handful that we did not end up tubing, and you can see that one right here, and it is not doing near as well as what those ones are in the tube. There's a couple in this spot in particular that are even blowing up outside of the tube, which looks just great. But I don't know if this is a combination of, I mean, we are a little bit higher here, so it may be a moisture thing. I don't think it would be a browse thing, but even with those tubes might just help them hold a little bit more moisture, which is why the ones inside the tube might be doing the best. But just thought it was interesting to point this one out. I mean, there's a few leaves on it, but it does not look near as good as what the ones in the tube do look like. So we did not bat 100% on these. We did have a couple of them die. This was one that was not tubed, but you can see how it tried making roots, but obviously it's toast now. But I would say we probably had 80% of these make it, which so far, but I would say that's probably more than what I expected. So we'll see what they end up turning out like in the next few months and then years to come. But I am pretty hopeful that we'll have a majority of these live and keep on going. We just rolled up to the last apple tree that we pruned, and this one, similar to the first two, looks awesome, and it is loaded with fruit. Obviously not an ideal situation here being that it's right off the road, but still cool to have a established apple tree on the property that is bearing or gonna bear tons of fruit. This one in particular, I really tried to encourage a lot of outward growth. All this fruit is chest high, which I think is nice, but obviously deer can reach up pretty easily to grab it. But as you can see behind me, and then I'm sure Sam will get a couple close-ups of that, but with me encouraging that outward growth, it did sprout loads of suckers upward. So I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do about that. I know that you don't want upward growth because that does not produce the maximum amount of fruit. So I'll probably have to trim that either this spring or somehow get rid of those suckers. But overall, like I said, I mean, there is tons of apples on this tree. And I think with those other two plus this one, like I mentioned, it's just awesome to have multiple established apple trees out here that are just gonna bear loads of fruit. Overall, really happy to see how things are progressing, especially being that we've knocked out most of these projects within the last 6 months after the 25 season ended. So something we didn't touch on today and we'll definitely be doing down the line is all the cutting that we did. We obviously spent tons of time hinge cutting, edge feathering, and just knocking down a bunch of timber, and we didn't really go into that at all today, but that'll be a whole separate video that just goes in depth on what that looks like and how the deer are using that. And I'm excited. I haven't really taken a dive in there myself yet, but I'm excited to see what those cuts end up looking like. So overall, really excited to see how things are shaping up, especially the big bottom plot too, with all the food we should, fingers crossed, hopefully have there. So that should be really helpful. But yeah, things are progressing and can't believe it's already mid-July. I'm really hoping to get some cameras rolling up here soon. I've been seeing pictures and videos all over on socials of everyone's seeing a bunch of good bucks coming along. So as always, really appreciate you guys following along up here, and thankful for all the insight, recommendations that you provide. Really do appreciate that. So should be up here in the next couple weeks, and we will see you guys on the next one.